This is going to load up. We're loading onto Aradon, which is a starting city. Each faction starts in its own starting city as well. Now you see some stuff that's in the way here. This is because in my settings and my add-ons, I have all this stuff here loaded. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it all off, just so you guys can see some of the different stuff here. I apologize as well. This takes a little bit. Okay, there we go. And then we reload the UI. Now, hopefully with this, I'm going to remove that part out and edit it, but I may just try getting a rough cut out. Okay, so now we ended up here. As you can see, kind of in the middle of this area here. We have some deck hands here. You can open up a bookshelf, search things. Before you go out, I'll recommend take a look at yourself. Oh, look, so pretty, right? Take a look at some of your settings. Now you have a bit more than we had when we started off here. Go into gameplay. Now, first thing I recommend doing, turn on the prevent attacking innocents. This isn't something new. The justice system allowing you to kill anyone, including townspeople. And I've heard so many people just go ahead and like hit the mouse click, do a heavy attack right on somebody, and then get themselves arrested. You don't want to have that happen. You want to make sure combat cues are on. We'll go over those in a little bit. Double tap to dodge, you still want. Battle level, don't worry about. You're not going to worry about that until you're at least VR5, which is a long road, but it's a pretty enjoyable road. Ground targeting, yeah, you still want that. Consolidate area loot you want to have on. Auto loot I do recommend keeping off. Sometimes you're going to get junk that you don't really want to have, and all that stuff. You can hide your helmet or you can keep it on, either way. Default soul gem, you can just leave that as is. And I do recommend keeping the tutorials on as well. Camera, if you like the field of view, I do recommend increasing it. This is usually default here, but you just want to have that. You can also manage some of the stuff in your first person and third person, depending on what you do. Now, meanwhile, in interface, I recommend for most people, your ability bar you can hide down here. However, you're probably going to be confused with things the first time you go in, so I'd recommend putting this in always show. Don't worry about soul reserve. This is something for trials and different things where you have a limited number of respawns. We're not going to deal with this right away here. Active combat tips we want to have on. Quest tracker, we do want to have that on as well. Compass gives quest givers, yep, we want to keep that on. Now health bars we want to keep on. For ourselves we keep off, and friendlies we keep off, and these other ones we keep on injured. I usually recommend enemy NPCs you keep on, and enemy players you keep on. This is going to make them stand out a little bit better, so you can see them. Now other indicators, alliance indicator, all. I do recommend that, so when you go into PvP, you can see that stuff. Group members on. Most of the stuff is pretty basic. You can do chat bubbles beta. This is a thing that will let chat bubbles appear above your head. Not too bad to have on. Frame rate and latency, I do recommend keeping both of these on. This will keep you. This will gives you this little bar up here, tells you where your FPS is, and if you're trying to tweak around with certain settings here, especially when you're doing stuff in the video, it's good to have that on. Meanwhile, social, you can start messing around with all this stuff here, changing the different colors of all this stuff here. Controls, if you want to change anything or bind anything, you can do that here. Now, a few good ones you can take a look at that really aren't put in here right at the start. Weapon swap, set 1 and 2. Weapon swap is bound normally to the tailgate key. This is the key that's over by the 1 to the left there. If you don't use that, I do recommend the weapon swap 1 and 2. That's a little bit more advanced, but that'll make sure that like when you're trying to like constantly click on something and maybe you're having a little bit of lag because your connection sucks or something like that, you can make sure that it's always going to go to weapon set 1, so that emergency heal or something like that you can just swap over to. I can just leave mine off for right now just so I can go through and quickly go through some of this other stuff here. A synergy, one thing I do rebind mine I do it to mouse button 4 for my own. But the reason that this is very important here is because synergies is when you're doing groups, you want to get these out and quick. And sometimes the X also messes with where you're going to be using for your movement if you're using the standard WSAD on it as well. You also have the option for toggling or walk or a run. This is usually set off. You can set that off, set that up real quick though if you want to as well. Tab, you got to remember that's a good thing for tab targeting, especially with some range stuff, which we'll go over in a few. Interacting with the environment is E. Interacting with players is F. So those are two important ones to remember as well. Most of this other stuff here isn't too important, but if you want to have nice little screenshots, you do have to bind something to turn your UI on and off. And I usually do it just number 5. And use the number pad as most of my stuff on mine. So go through here, take a look at it. Some of these will not be bound, other ones will. Customize it however you want. So we're going to go in third person here. Now, we just kind of skipped through on some of that other stuff there, but as you can see here, we're just going to hit J and get to our journal. This is where we get our quests and other items here as well. So we woke up here, we're going to come out, and we're going to take a look to see what's around here. Now realize some of these areas, they don't really care if you take items from it. See, I can search and take some stuff from there. That's fine. Let's just keep on heading out.
You're awake.
Now, you see, we just woke up and came out of the ship, and we got this guy here trying to talk to us.
I was worried you'd never wake up. You slept all the way from Canarthy's Roost, right through the hurricane. You don't remember? A Khajiit named Razumdar fished you out of the ocean. He paid me a small fortune to bring you here. We barely made it out of Canarthy's Roost before the hurricane hit. He was headed to Eagle Strand, an old fort on Canarthy's Roost. My ship won't return there for some time, but a bosun on the far dock can take you. Look for Sugar Claws.
Okay, so we got our first quest here. There's another quest that will come up as well, involving the main storyline as well. But this is the first one there. We got a guy who fishes out of the water, and that's how we ended up on the boat. And if you play through the tutorial, you'll know a little bit more about the story there as well. Now, as you come in here, you're going to be tempted to just go follow that quest marker. Now, what I recommend doing first instead is just associating yourself with the area. And you can do that with the M key. Now, as you notice here, we have a chest that is our bank. We have this, which is called, this little thing here that's called a way shrine. You're going to be learning a lot on these here. You have a horse vendor here. You have this, which is an outlaw refuge. You have several vendors, a tavern, a alchemist and enchanting. You have different crafting stations up here. You have Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, and just a few other things in there as well. Now, we're just going to go ahead and move over into here. Over to the left so we can join the Fighters Guild and Mages Guild. Now, these are things I recommend doing first off because regardless if you're a quester or you're a grinder, depending on how you go up, the Fighters Guild is probably one of the best lines of abilities to help you level, especially with a lot of stuff being Daedric, Undead, etc. And we'll go over some of those abilities, but the skill lines really do make it a lot easier for killing some of those and getting some good synergies with it.
Fascinating application. Welcome. Are you here on Mages Guild business? Yes, of course. We're lawkeepers across the face of Tamriel.
Alright, I'm just going to speed through some of this as well so people don't have to see the same thing. You can absolutely just pay attention to every one of these here, but unfortunately for me, I've done it a lot of times here. I'm just trying to get something out here so people understand what they need to do when they first come in here.
We're book Excellent.
Just simple as that, we're joined in. And from that, sorry, as you can see here, we have several things here and several skill points. But here in our guild, we now have the Mages Guild.
Greetings.
And next, the Fighters Guild. Yep. Yep. Join. Thank you. And just like that, we're in the Fighters Guild. Now, the reason I like this one here is because a lot of this stuff here, the spell damage when doing damage to undead and Daedra in the ultimate generation, as well as Silver Bolts, Expert Hunter. I mean, the entire line is just great. And the more Daedra and undead you kill, the more you get on top of it. Now, notice as well, when you come into towns like this, you can open up some of these drawers here. You can choose to steal. I don't recommend doing this until you've gotten yourself into the game and a little bit more familiar. We'll have another video on stealing as well in the future. Meanwhile, just stay away from it for a little bit there if you can help it. Now, the other thing I recommend doing is crafting. Crafting is probably going to take you a little bit while to get into. And we have something new which is called Crafting Writs, which will come open as you level up. And I'm going to have a separate video on that as well. But just keep in mind there's going to be some of that stuff. Now, before those crafting writs you actually get done, though, you're going to notice that you can come in here. And this accesses your bank as well. So the reason you're seeing all this extra material is because I have access to that. But I do recommend on every single one of these, even if you don't train into it, you begin doing your research. Okay, this research is going to start at 6 hours and then upgrade to 12, and then from there it's going to go up to 24 and then 24 and a half, and etc. for each one of these things that you've researched under this like particular thing. This is a glove, for example, right? You want to research each one of them, and you just simply click on this, click on that, and then choose to research that item. Since I'm deleting this, I'm not doing this right now, but I recommend doing it on each one of your crafting skills, such as clothing.
Greetings.
Not that person. Blacksmithing. And if I can show it off, woodworking, which is way up here. Now, as you can see, each one of these is in different areas and all that stuff. You can do a whole lot of stuff with crafting. I'll go over that in a little bit later, but this is just, again, what you need to do to get started. You may not have the items to do it when you start off here. I mean, as you see here, we have nothing that has a trait to it right now. We can open up this one here and this one here. Look at these two. And these have traits that we can research right off the bat if you choose to. Now, there are 6 crafting abilities here from, alchemy, blacksmithing, clothing, enchanting, provisioning, woodworking. The researching you can only do in the blacksmithing, clothing, and woodworking. These other ones here, you just simply have to do the different abilities to get those to come up here. Next, you can see we're coming up to a bank here. This is where you're going to want to do most of your banking, storing your stuff here. As you can see here, we have a lot of stuff in here from my alts and all that stuff. This is a shared bank, so it will share across your accounts. But the good thing with that, though, is that if you have, if you're somebody who collects a lot of things, you can take all that stuff, make several banking tunes. You get 60 slots, as you can see, per character. Get all that stuff in there, load it up onto alternate banking tunes that you're not going to use until later. And then once you're done there, you can, stuff it in there and stuff all your stuff on those other characters, save up your space, and then get some more stuff that you can just use, store up and then never use it again. Now, this is a sky shard here. This is a pretty easy one here. There's usually 1 or 2 in each zone. You can get add-ons to show you where these sky shards are. I do recommend, however, if you like to explore stuff, try leaving the add-ons off and take a look for them yourself, at least for one run-through. After you find it all and you've done it, you're on your 4th character or something like that, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. And hello to the people in my chat. I apologize for not giving you the most attention here. Currently today, I am just going through on some of the different things here that you can do and see inside of ESO, and trying to give new players a tutorial on what's going on here. And a few questions that come up here as well. This right here is a way shrine. This is how you travel to a lot of the areas. Now, you have to find a way shrine before you can teleport to it. As you can see here, I don't have any of these areas found. However, I do know that they are there. Okay, so you got to go find those first before you can actually teleport on them. Now, if you're not a Imperial Edition person, or you do not have a horse, you can go up to as soon as you get a horse, basically you can go up to this person here, talk to him. You're gonna get this side here, and I mean, it's gonna look like, oh, you have to get 10,000 gold, 42,000 gold. That can go very quickly if you don't have the Imperial Edition. You just have to know what to buy and what to save to buy as well. You can also make a lot of money using the thieving system. Getting 10k within a week is not that hard, to be honest, from what we have in the thieving system now. So don't freak out on some of the prices there. Now, all of these here are skins. Okay, they're not actual mounts that are going to give you different stats like they used to be. Everything now is set into this riding skill, and each one of these here can be pumped up every day, or sorry, every 20 hours for 250 gold. If you get a mount as soon as you can, start training this as soon as possible. Get it started every time that 20 hours comes up, because it will take you a while to get yourself maxed on the speed, stamina, and capacity. If you're a PvE player, I recommend bumping up your capacity. If you're a PvP player, I recommend bumping up your speed. At least get the speed up to like 30 or 40 before you start putting it into capacity. And hello, Crazy. Today we're just going over tutorials on what to do when you come in. And from what I understand, you will keep your characters when you come back in, even though you left long ago for some of those older players who've abandoned their accounts. Those characters will still be there. They're not wiping them out or anything else like that.
What is it? Is this about the fish? Good. I have business.
So now we're going over into Calliope's Roost, and we're going to be following up into that quest line that we started.